82%. That is how many Americans over 45 say they really wish they had taken retirement, planning more seriously when they were younger. But here is what nobody tells you. Most of their biggest regrets have absolutely nothing to do with money. Sure, we all hear, save more, start earlier, max out your 401k, and yes, that matters. But after 30 years working in corporate management watching colleagues retire, some thriving, others struggling, I've learned that the regrets that truly haunt people are the ones nobody warned them about. Today, I'm walking you through the 8 retirement regrets that real retirees say keep them up at night, and more importantly, exactly how you can avoid every single one of them starting today. Stay with me because regret number 5 surprised even me. Before we dive in, let me tell you why this topic hits close to home for me. I've spent 3 decades in corporate management, budgeting, HR, compliance, quality systems. I've sat across the table from people planning their exit, helped transition entire teams, and watched what happens when people leave without a real plan. Some walked out those doors and never looked back, happy, fulfilled, purpose-driven. Others? They came back to visit 6 months later looking lost, asking if there were any consulting projects, not because they needed the money, but because they didn't know who they were anymore without their job title. That difference? It wasn't random. It came down to whether they'd addressed these 8 areas before they left. And the research backs this up. A 2024 survey from Schroders found that 63% of retirees wish they had done more planning before retirement, and most of that regret isn't financial. It's emotional. It's relational. It's existential. So let's make sure you're not in that 63%. Here are the 8 regrets and your action plan to avoid each one. Regret number 1. I didn't know who I was without my job. Here's something uncomfortable. For most of us, when someone asks, "What do you do?" we answer with our job title. I'm an engineer. I'm a manager. I'm a nurse. But what happens when that job disappears? Research from the American Bar Association put it bluntly. If your previous role was your entire identity, you're in trouble. Studies show that people with a lot of prestige and power in their careers often become depressed after they retire, not because of money, but because they've lost their sense of self. A 2024 study in psychological science found that retirees strongly tied to their work roles are significantly more prone to diminished mental well-being after retiring. Think about it. You spent 30, 40 years building expertise, earning respect, having a purpose every morning. Then one day that structure just vanishes. So how do you avoid this? You need to start building your post-career identity now before you retire. Ask yourself these questions and write down the answers. First, what are 3 things you're passionate about that have nothing to do with your paycheck? Second, if you had to introduce yourself at a party without mentioning your job, what would you say? Third, what activities make you lose track of time? Start investing in those answers now. Join clubs. Take classes. Volunteer. Build relationships around interests, not industries. Your future retired self will thank you. Regret number 2. I thought Medicare would cover everything. This one catches people completely off guard. According to Fidelity's 2025 retiree healthcare cost estimate, a 65-year-old retiring today can expect to spend, are you ready for this, $172,500 on healthcare costs throughout retirement. And for couples, that number jumps to $345,000. Now here's the kicker. 37% of Americans plan to rely on Medicare to cover their healthcare costs in retirement. But Medicare doesn't cover everything, not even close. You're still on the hook for premiums, copays, prescription costs, dental, vision, and most critically, long-term care. Fidelity's research found that 1 in 5 Americans have never even considered their healthcare needs during retirement. Among Gen X, that rises to 1 in 4. Here's your action plan. 1. If your employer offers a health savings account, maximize it. The triple tax advantage, pre-tax contributions, tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals for medical expenses makes it one of the most powerful retirement tools that exists. 2. Research Medicare Part D, Medigap policies, and Medicare Advantage plans before you turn 65. Don't wait until the deadline. 3. Have a long-term care conversation with your family. Only 13% of retirees have long-term care insurance yet. 70% of people over 65 will need some form of long-term care. This isn't about fear. It's about being realistic so healthcare doesn't derail your retirement dreams. Regret number 3. I retired to something, not from something. This regret is sneaky because it sounds like a good thing at first. I can't wait to retire so I don't have to deal with the commute. I'm retiring because I'm exhausted. I just want to escape my boss. These are all reasons to retire from something. But the research shows that the happiest retirees are the ones who retired to something. The Transamerica Center for Retirement. Studies found that retirees with a strong sense of purpose are significantly more likely to report being happy and enjoying life. Meanwhile, 27% of retirees say they often feel unmotivated and overwhelmed, and 24% often feel anxious and depressed. Here's what I've seen. That honeymoon phase of retirement sleeping in, no alarm clock, endless golf or Netflix, it lasts maybe 3 to 6 months. Then the question hits, now what? The retirees who struggle are the ones who never asked that question before they left. So here's your assignment. Before you retire, create what I call a purpose portfolio. It has a list of 5 things you're genuinely excited to dive into when you have the time. These can be hobbies, volunteer work, part-time consulting, mentoring, learning a new skill, or even starting a small business. The key is that they give you a reason to get up in the morning that has nothing to do with escaping something you hate. Regret number 4. I didn't spend enough time with the people who mattered. This one hits different because you can't get this time back. A survey of retirees found that 35% wish they had achieved better work-life balance while working full-time. And here's the painful part. 56% of retirees say they're finally able to spend more quality time with loved ones, now that they've retired. But here's the problem. By the time many people retire, some of those loved ones are gone. Parents have passed. Children have grown up and moved away. Friendships that weren't maintained have faded. I've seen executives work 70-hour weeks for their family, only to retire and realize their family had moved on without them. And this connects to loneliness, which is a real crisis among retirees. When you leave work, you're not just leaving a job. You're leaving daily interactions with colleagues who knew your name, your projects, your stories. A 2024 survey found that 57% of seniors report feeling lonely. So what can you do right now? First, audit your relationships. Who are the 5 people you want to spend the most time with in retirement? Are you investing in those relationships today or just assuming they'll be there? Second, build community before you need it. Join groups, clubs, or organizations now. Those connections take years to deepen. Third, schedule the important stuff like it's a meeting. Put dinner with friends or call mom on your calendar. If it's not scheduled, it doesn't happen. Regret number 5. I should have retired earlier. Okay, I told you this one surprised me. Because we always hear, save more, work longer. But the data tells a different story. A survey from New York Life found that nearly half of retirees aged 62 to 70 wish they had retired earlier. On average, they wish they'd retired 4 years sooner than they did. And here's the kicker. Even 20% of retirees with over $1 million in assets still wish they'd left work sooner. Why? Because by the time many people finally retire, they realize how precious time is, especially healthy, active time. The years between 60 and 70 are often called the go-go years for a reason. That's when you have the energy and health to travel, pursue hobbies, enjoy life. But too many people spend those years grinding at a job they'd already mentally checked out from, trying to hit one more milestone that ultimately didn't matter. Now I'm not saying quit tomorrow without a plan. That would be reckless. But I am saying, run the numbers honestly. Many people discover they could have retired years earlier if they'd been willing to adjust their lifestyle slightly. Ask yourself, am I working for financial necessity or financial anxiety? Because those are 2 very different things. Regret number 6. I didn't have a real plan, just a number. This regret connects to something I see constantly. People obsess over the number, without actually creating a plan for how they'll live. Nearly 7 in 10 Americans between 50 and 74 don't have a formal retirement plan. And 62% of retirees have no idea how long their savings will actually last. Here's what happens. Someone works toward $2 million as if it is a magic threshold. They hit it, they retire, and within 6 months they're asking, wait, can I afford this vacation? Can I help my grandkids with college? Can I give to charity? Because a number isn't a plan. A plan answers, how much will I spend each month? On what? What happens if the market drops 30%? What if I live to 95? What if I need care? Here's your action step. Create a retirement budget before you retire. Not a vague estimate, an actual month-by-month projection. Include everything: housing, utilities, food, healthcare, transportation, entertainment, travel, gifts, unexpected expenses. Then stress test it. What happens if inflation stays at 4%? What happens if you need long-term care at 78? If you've never done this, consider working with a fee-only financial planner. One who doesn't earn commissions, just charges for advice. That objectivity matters. Regret number 7. I didn't tell my family what they needed to know. This is the legacy regret, and it's one that affects the people you love most. The Transamerica research found that few retirees have codified their wishes in legal documents like powers of attorney and advance directives. And when something happens, a stroke, a diagnosis, an accident, families are left scrambling. I've watched this play out personally. A colleague's father passed suddenly, and the family spent months trying to figure out account passwords, locate insurance policies, and determine what his final wishes actually were. That chaos happens at the worst possible time, when grief is already overwhelming. Your family doesn't just need your money. They need your information, your wishes, your instructions. Here's the action plan. Create what I call a legacy file, one document or folder that contains locations of all financial accounts with contact information, your will, trust documents, and powers of attorney, insurance policies, life, health, long-term care, property, login credentials, or where to find them, your wishes for medical care if you can't communicate, and funeral or memorial preferences. Then tell your family where this file is. Have the conversation. It's not morbid, it's a gift. Regret number 8. I let fear make my decisions. This final regret is the one that underlies all the others. The Schroders survey found that 84% of retirees wish they could better protect their savings from inflation. 1 in 4 has lost sleep worrying about their financial situation. 27% spend more than an hour per day worrying about money. But here's what I've observed. Fear often leads to worse decisions than the problems people are afraid of. People stay in soul-crushing jobs out of fear. They don't travel because, what if I need that money? They don't help their grandkids because I might outlive my savings. They don't enjoy their retirement because they're too busy worrying about whether they can afford their retirement. The antidote to fear isn't recklessness, it's knowledge. When you understand your numbers, when you have a real plan, when you've stress-tested your assumptions, fear loses its power. Ask yourself honestly, are your retirement decisions being driven by data and planning, or by anxiety and worst-case thinking? Because retirement should be your reward, not your punishment. You earned it. So let's connect the dots. These 8 regrets: identity crisis, healthcare blind spots, no purpose plan, relationship neglect, waiting too long, no real plan, leaving family in the dark, and fear-based decisions, they all share something in common. They're all preventable. Every single one. The retirees who avoid these regrets aren't lucky. They're intentional. They asked the hard questions before they had to. They built relationships and purpose before they needed them. They made plans, not just projections. And you can do the same thing starting today. Here's what I want you to do right now. Pick one of these 8 regrets, just one, and take action on it this week. Maybe it's having that legacy conversation with your family. Maybe it's writing out your purpose portfolio. Maybe it's finally making that appointment with a financial planner. Whatever it is, do something. Don't just watch this video and move on. Because information without action is just entertainment. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Which of these 8 regrets hit closest to home for you? And what's one step you're committing to take? If this video helped you, hit that subscribe button. I put out new content every week on retirement planning, legacy building, and navigating this second chapter of life with confidence. Until next time, this is Silver Compass, Legacy Planning. Let's build a retirement you'll never regret.